Hello. My name is Felix. If you guys don't know, I work at Ledger, and I'm here today to answer any of the questions you might have. I always mention when I start the streams, generally speaking, uh, always make sure that you keep your 24 words, your recovery phrase safe. Don't give it out to anyone. We'll never ask for it. And it is the key to making sure that you keep your assets safe and don't sign any transactions you don't trust. So if you guys have any questions about how to operate the device or anything like that, just pop them into the chat. And if you you can also let me know if anything's gone wrong, so audio, video, anything like that. But with that being said, let's get started. We can try and answer all of the questions you pop into the chat. First up, I have Lassie Sunday. Hopefully I didn't butcher that too much. You've asked just about an existing case that you have with a case number, and I did double check that just before going live. Looks like that's actually with one of my colleagues now. So we'll try to have a chat with you and try to answer those as quickly as we can. Next up was T-Mail Flash. I noticed you mentioned that you weren't getting a response in terms of a support ticket, but that you didn't have a ticket number. The main thing I'd mention there would be if you are hoping to get support, you can see there's the support button on the top right hand side here. You can just click right behind where my image would be. There's a purple contact us button, and you can actually go through the steps to actually get the ticket number. You'll have to explain you just in quickly what you might need help with, and you'll be able to get a hold of us. But with regards to the specific issue that you're having, T-Mail, you should be able to give us all the details. We might need to ask for like an order ID or something like that, and we'll have a look at that for you for sure. Next up, we have Cruise. You've mentioned, can I stake HBAR in the Ledger Live app? You also have a Ledger Nano S, and you can't get any apps installed on it. So first of all, I'd mention that HBAR staking within Ledger Live in particular wouldn't be something that, off the top of my head, something you can do. Make sure to double check, and you still should be able to do it if you don't know, with a third-party wallet with your Ledger device as well. So definitely something you should be able to do with a third-party wallet for now. I'll definitely make sure, just while I make sure to pop in the notes, my notes for today, that we'll pass that on as feedback as well, just to know that this is a feature that you guys are after for sure. All right. Next up, we have Baby. You've mentioned, hey, actually, before I go too far, Cruise, you also asked about Nano S applications, and in particular, in this case, the space. I think in that case, it should be noted that you can actually install and uninstall applications, and it doesn't affect your access to these to your assets. If I just jump onto, for example, my instance of Ledger Live, and if I go into my Ledger, if I actually go in, uninstalling the applications isn't an issue at all. It just means that you'll have to reinstall the applications when you want to manage a particular asset, right? It is totally, I totally understand it is quite, inconvenient. And you've also mentioned the Nano X, which would be the potential thing that you would want to buy for the Ledger Nano S, as I have here, to alleviate that inconvenience. I can't give you a discount code for Ledger Nano X, unfortunately, but it's definitely something. But you can always keep an ear out on our website and stuff. We can quite regularly have sales on the devices. Also, don't be like me and make sure you update all of your applications. I was just on holiday, haven't turned it on in a while, so definitely something that you should make sure to do, and I'll be doing so right after the stream. All right, back on track to Baby. You've mentioned, if I pop back over to my browser. Boom. Baby, you've mentioned that you're trying to purchase a Ledger Nano X in the purple color. When will it be back in stock? Don't know exactly when. If you want, you can always try and get a hold of us, and then we can actually liaise with our guys internally. I don't know if I'd have a specific date for that, unfortunately. But yeah, totally something that we always want to make sure we have for you guys. I totally understand. Chetan Singh Thakur, hopefully I didn't butcher that as well. You've mentioned how to set up a Ledger Nano S Plus in particular. The one thing that I'd mention there is you should just go to our help center. If you just set up as a new device, if I remember correctly, you'll be able to find the steps to do so here. The steps are pretty similar across all the devices. You just have to make sure you get the recovery phrase. So these 24 words from the device. Make sure you note that down onto your piece of paper or the card that you get with the device. And then once you do so, you can start installing particular applications. You have to select your PIN code as well, of course. But all the steps are there, in particular for this specific device, and you can always check the other articles if you have a different device as well. For anyone else that might be wondering, this is where I would generally start. If there's something specific that you needed to do that might not be supported in Ledger Live, there might be some extra steps that you need to do, but we might leave that. And if that is something that you needed to do, definitely let us know. We'll try to have a look at that for you. All right, let's keep going. Double A, you've mentioned how does ledger recovery work? Is your mnemonic seed safe? So let's start with the first thing. How does ledger recovery work? Ledger recover work? I would actually check out the white paper, which is something that we published quite recently, actually. And I don't know if this part has been published in particular, but if I remember correctly, I can just Google this and you can go to the GitHub to get the full PDF. I was actually just reading it, just coming back from a break. It's got everything about every single step about what happens. Now, the next thing though, you mentioned is the recovery phrase, the mnemonic seed. Generally, what I would use those interchangeably, but the mnemonic seed is indeed safe. But you've also mentioned a way to extract, and that wouldn't be true. There's no way to extract any mnemonic seed or anything like that. So what I would suggest is you can go through, you can read the paper. If you have any other questions, you can definitely try to get a hold of us as well. Again, on our support page here, there's a purple contact us button, and really in-depth questions we can really try to answer for you. But you can actually go through and read exactly how everything works there. It is definitely on the GitHub, which is where I actually personally got it to read through it. So double A, check that out. Definitely really cool. Actually something I'm really excited for personally in terms of seeing the whole process. So I was really interested there. All right. So next up, Axelo XYZ. You mentioned that you couldn't redeem some of the NFTs. In particular, the Ledger Stacks NFT, the Deadfellas NFT for a couple of days. Nothing in particular is happening as in terms of an outage as far as I'm aware, but obviously you might be having some issues. Definitely get a hold of us and we can try to give you a hand from there. If you're getting any particular error messages, definitely is the kind of thing that I would include. You mentioned some additional parts here. You mentioned I kept them in MetaMask. Okay, shouldn't generally be an issue regardless of where what address the NFTs are owned by. Just might change how you need to redeem them. So maybe if you do, when you do get a hold of us, even if you want, you can always actually pop the ticket number into the chat, and then we'll actually guide you through the process. If you're getting any like bugs or anything like that, yeah, we'll definitely try and sort that out on our end. All right. Next up, Kevin Tan. You mentioned, hi there, how to move HBAR to a Ledger device. In general, it would generally depend on where you're transferring it from. If you're transferring from an exchange, the steps might change depending on which exchange you're doing it for. But essentially, you just need to get the address for your for this particular asset or network, and then make sure you set that as the withdrawal address when you withdraw it, let's say from exchange, or if you're asking another person to send it to you. What I might think about first is going through the receive process. That would be the part that gives you the address. Now, the thing is with HBAR is that you might need to use a third-party wallet. So even though I've brought up this page, it wouldn't be the exact process you'd go through. You'd be going through and using Hashpack. So setting up your Hashpack account here. Let me just go through. And you'll be able to create your account. You'll get your address and everything like that. And then that way you can use that as a place to withdraw from. That'd be the general steps. Again, go through the Help Center article, Help Center, support.ledger.com. I think I forgot to mention, and you can just use the search bar up here. A lot of my colleagues, they go through and they try to write articles for as much as they can, and it's definitely something that I would consider going through. Okay, if we keep on going, baby, yep, Axelo XYZ. Baby, you mentioned, you said that you were phasing out those colors, but it went back in stock for days. Now it's out of stock again. Not sure if it might have been something that someone mentioned. Yeah, it's not something that I'd know right off the top of my head, actually. So yeah, if you really wanted like an exact date or anything, try and get a hold of us. Again, support.ledger.com. Maybe we can try to answer that question for you. Otherwise, I generally keep an eye out on the actual page, page here, and you just double check for it on the products page in particular. Hello to Serkan as well. How you going? Ala, Miku, you've mentioned when ordinals in Ledger. It's actually something that I know one of my colleagues and Dan has actually written about, if I know correctly. It isn't something that is necessarily, you can see here with the important note, isn't necessarily something that is a very good UX at the moment. It is in the very early stages, but is something you can potentially manage. I would generally suggest reading through all of this and then maybe doing some test transactions as well, especially as well to potentially making a separate account. So you don't just send your sats accidentally, which is definitely something you wouldn't want to do in this case, of course. But yeah, definitely, again, check that out. It should be something you should be able to manage with your Ledger device already. Apple, you mentioned you can't see ADA after staking it in a Euro wallet. I might want to get more clarification there if it's that you can't see it in Ledger Live in particular, if you can't see it in Yoroi. It might be that it's just a matter of the Yoroi not showing it correctly. I'll have to double check Cardano staking in particular. I don't think, if I remember correctly, it wasn't something that is supported as of yet. So it would imply to me that you should be able to see Cardano in a staked format as of yet. But definitely something, again, I'm going to pop into the notes for us to keep note of, and it's something that you guys are after. So always happy to have you guys come up to us and let us know about the features that you want. I'm always going to jot them down and we're going to pass them on, really hassle those guys to get that all sorted. Sweet and Sour, Axelo with the alpha apparently as well. Sweet and Sour has mentioned if you can transfer Solo Coin to a Ledger Nano. So remembering first that the Ledger Nano devices, Ledger Nano S, Ledger Nano X, S Plus, they don't actually store your assets, but they store the private keys or the recovery phrase essentially that you would sign the transactions with. Solo isn't something that I know off the top of my head, and doesn't seem like it's directly supported. If I just go through to the supported crypto assets page, there is another way that you can check that as well. If I go to support.ledger.com, and if I just type in asset list, there is another way to check that as well. And that would include tokens and everything like that too. Boom. And you can see here is a list of all of them. So if you mean Sologenic on Binance Smart Chain, you can see here it's definitely supported. You should just be able to send it to your Binance Smart Chain address, which would just be your EVM address, sweet and sour. And let's see if there's any other Solo. Doesn't seem like there's any other Solo that comes up in this case. So yeah, you should be able to send it and go from there. Just double check. Boom. All right, Sam Carrier. Next question. You've mentioned, hi. Do you know when counter values for some of the coins on Cardano blockchain will show up in Ledger Live? It's not something that I can give a time frame for. COPE, AGIX. Is that I'll definitely make sure to note those as well. But yeah, it's definitely something we just got to get on top of them for. And it may not be something that will 100% will always be added as well once they've been submitted, but I'll definitely make sure to mention that this was asked for as well. Also, you mentioned when is Stacks coming out. We're still trying to make sure it's the best product that we can. So please just sit tight, and we'll let you know ASAP. Basically, keep an eye out in emails. Speaking of emails, Nia, you mentioned that you're still getting spam mails, and I know it definitely hurts in saying that you hate Ledger. I'm definitely be here to try and answer any questions or help you with anything you might have. Main thing about spam emails is that we're never going to ask for your 24 words, which is the main thing that these guys are going to be after. Don't sign any transactions from links then that way, and generally speaking, you'll be safe. Totally understand that as well. Miguel Alvarez, when will XDC be integrated in Ledger? Again, I wouldn't have an exact date for that one, but I'll make sure to pass that on as well. You can still manage XDC, by the way, with third-party applications. I know it's not always the most convenient, but definitely something to consider. I use third-party wallets nearly on a daily basis. It's not something that you should be scared of. There's no security risk in doing so. Remember, when you're signing transactions on the device, you're not like inputting your recovery phrase anywhere or anything like that. All right, let's keep going. There we go. F, you've mentioned you're receiving NFTs in Ledger Live. I can't tell you why you're receiving them, but my general expectation is that they are scams, exactly like you're saying. Now, what should you do with them? This is a really, this can be really annoying. This is actually something that I'm also victim to. I get a bunch of random NFTs. There's one in particular that I'm always annoyed by that is still there and showing an Etherscan as well. But essentially, what you should do is don't touch them at all. Don't send them anywhere. Don't try to burn them. Don't try to do anything. Don't try to return them. Don't try to sell them. What they're trying to do, it's a form of address poisoning as a group of types of attacks that someone might do. There's no security risk. There's no breach in security if someone is sending you NFTs. Remember that your addresses are going to be public on chain. So anyone can send you something. Doesn't mean that they have access to your private keys or anything like that. What they're trying to do is they're trying to get you to interact with them. They're trying to get you to maybe send them, maybe sell them. There might be some weird offers for these for these NFTs on OpenSea, for example. And if you accept them, it might give them access to other things at that address, right? So what is implemented in Ledger Live in particular is that you can hide these NFTs. What that means is that you won't be able to interact with these NFTs. When you hide the NFTs in Ledger Live or Ledger Live Desktop on mobile, it means that you'll not interact with them on chain, so you won't do anything like that. But it'll make it so that you don't see them directly in your Ledger Live, and it'll be a lot cleaner experience. That's all that I would suggest that you would do. Otherwise, you run the risk of actually invoking some arbitrary code that might risk access to your assets. So this is where we go into it here. Do not touch it. Do not try to send it anywhere. Just right click and hide it, and you'll be safe. All right. If we keep on going, hi, have you ever come across Stuart Butler, an account being sent NFTs, Bitcase free spin? Nope, I would definitely not want to read that out online. Blah 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 blah. Address. Okay, it's the same. Again, Stuart, you hit the nail on the head. These are again scams. Just to hit hide, and you'll be good to go from there. Indeed, they definitely are a lot on Polygon. The reason for that would be that transaction fees are cheap on Polygon. It means that you can send bulk NFTs to everyone, and you cast the net wide, and you see if you can get as many people as you can. Okay, going back up. AA, thank you. I don't consider myself really cool, but thank you for the question. Chalan, you mentioned, do we need to upgrade software often after loading crypto? So one thing that I'll mention is that devices, the Ledger devices, yes, would need to be updated in terms of their firmware. The reason for that, I mean, I actually just today, I'm doing work about, EIP 4844, and the blockchains are updated all the time as well. That means, and in doing so, you'd want to make sure we support these particular things. Sometimes we need to update the apps to do so, to support it. Sometimes we might not have to. But in any case, we always want to make sure the devices, whether that's Ledger Live or your firmware on your Ledger device, is updated to make sure you have the latest software, the latest features rather, and make sure you have, if there are any bugs, to make sure they squash those bugs as well, right? So definitely something that I would always suggest. Another thing I'd also mention is that you wouldn't be loading crypto assets onto the device. You'd be loading the recovery phrase, or you'd be adding the recovery phrase onto the device so that when the device derives those private keys, it's able to sign the correct transactions, the transactions correctly, to make sure that you're the only one that has access to the particular assets. So yes. In any case, make sure you keep updating your devices. Baby, you've mentioned the Notify Me button in store doesn't work nor send emails when items are back in stock. I want info if the purple one will be back in stock or permanently discontinued 100%. Yeah, I'd just definitely get back onto us on the Contact Us button. What I'll do, if you want, I can try to see if there's a more specific time frame or anything like that. If it is permanently discontinued or anything like that, and see how we go from there. All right. Hello, Linwood, familiar face. Ala Mikyu, you've got another one. If I upgrade the ledger to 2.2.1, I need to give you the mnemonic seed. That is not true, by the way. That is flat out not true. But if you'd like to learn more about Ledger Recover, you can, check our support page and learn more from there, as well as the white paper as well. I know I mentioned that previously. Louise. When I stake Atom, the first option I get is the Ledger Validator. What are the pros and cons of Ledger Validator to other, if any? That would be something that you can check through in terms of the yield, in terms of reliability and things like that. I wouldn't. I mean, I think I'd be definitely biased with that one. So you can just. I think it might be best if you maybe just double check what the other validators are doing and things like that, and you can try and compare it from there. That's how I would normally go about it if I'm doing any staking that requires choosing of a validator in particular. Then with Jones, how cool is this? I'd like to hope it's cool. Thank you again for the repeated attendance. I better go a little bit quicker. Looks like we've got quite a few questions. Boom, boom, boom. All right, so CryptoKin news. The Stacks is always out of stock. The Stacks has not been released. I don't have any update about when it's going to be released for people in general. But yeah, definitely keep an eye out. If you've pre-ordered, it'll be in your email. We'll try to let you know. We're going to let you know ASAP because it's going to be something as soon as we know, rather, because it's something like we want to get out to you guys. We just want to make sure it's as good as it can be. All right, 7 mentions been liking the Eternal wallet you recommended last time for my Cardano staking. I do like Eternal. It is it's always good, I think, and in terms of talking about third-party wallets, it is really cool to see how other wallets interact or serve your user experience, right? And it might change maybe how you think about something on chain. It might change how you how you interact with things, and it might obviously give you access to different things that might not be supported in others. It's definitely something I always suggest. Like for example, you could use Ledger Live to send and receive Bitcoin, but you can also use Electrum, Sparrow. These are all wallets that I've used personally as well, right? And it may broaden the horizon into what might be possible. It's really cool. It's always something I love learning. But thanks as well, 77. Miguel, you staked Sol on Ledger, went to withdraw and lost my rewards. Any help? I think always the first thing when you under the impression that there's a potential that you would have lost some assets is that you always check what's happening on chain. What I mean in doing so is that you would want to check something like the canonical Solana block explorer. You can use Solana Beach or Sol Beach and things like that. Let me just try and get that up now. Beach, right? It's this one, solanabeach.io, and that would be some one of the block explorers you can potentially use to go through, double check where everything is. If it was indeed sent somewhere that you wouldn't expect, you can try to follow up from there, right? Otherwise, it could be a UI issue in particular, and we can always try to troubleshoot that with you if that's the case. Definitely get a hold of us. We'll try to get a hold of you. We'll try to troubleshoot that with you, and if there's something that we need to liaise with devs for, it's definitely something we'll do, Miguel. Right. Thanks again, Sam, for the question. SWH, you've got, when you set up Ledger Live on another computer, can you copy a file from the existing Ledger Live to keep the same names? So I'm assuming you mean the names of the accounts. Off the top of my head, there's no single file that you can do so. I haven't tested it in particular, but you can potentially look into your app data or roaming folder if you are operating under Windows. If you're more tech savvy, you might know where that is, and then you can actually copy that over. I wouldn't actually suggest it, honestly, especially if you're transferring between two different OSs, for example. It is definitely something that we can consider as well. But yeah, nothing off the top of my head for that one, although that would be a really nice feature, especially when you have a lot of accounts. I can totally understand that for sure. All right, there we go. Next up, we've got Sam Carrier. Again, does Ledger have any plans to fully support VeChain on Ledger Live, or is Sync the only third-party wallet that can work with VT and Ledger? At the moment, that is the case. It's the only one that I know of at the moment. I don't know. Let me check off screen. I don't know if this timeline is still going to be updated in particular. Excuse me, and I'll double check that for you now. See if I have more info, or if I have no info, then it might be something you can either follow up with us for, or maybe tune in like next week, and I can try to keep that in mind to answer for you as well, SWH. Sorry, Sam Carrier, my bad. Okay, let's see, and while we're doing that, let's just quickly scan through. It doesn't look like, I'm not sure if this is going to be right up to date. I don't see anything in particular. Either way, yeah, I'll let you know. What I'll do is I'll find out for next week, and if you do attend, that's good. Otherwise, just get a hold of us on our support.ledger.com, and we'll answer that in an email for you, Sam. Igor, you put in Ledger Nano X, and you can't add an account for Ethereum and some other coins if I don't update it to 221, and if you don't want it to update it. Why is it a problem if you don't upgrade it? Might be something that I think about it. If you're on a particularly old version, yeah, Ledger Live might not work. In particular, you might have to use a third-party wallet. You might have to use something like MetaMask or my Ethereum wallet to add those in particular. If you don't want to update a particular Ledger Nano X firmware, I'd love to hear if there's a particular reason why, if it's a security concern, and the real root of that security concern, right? Because there is nothing that will change in terms of your security. There's no key extraction. I know it's something that I've heard just on this stream, right? But that's just not true. So if you have a particular concern, it's definitely something I'll try to answer. You can always read through the white paper. I think I mentioned it before. It's on the GitHub too. Otherwise, you can always use the third-party wallets like I mentioned. With that being said though, I would always recommend that you update the firmware. I think I mentioned it just before as well. Why is that? It's to make sure that you have the latest features. It's to make sure if there are any bugs, they don't have any. And in this case, because there might be specific bugs that it might be fixing. I think I mentioned that before. Or there might be some things that don't work on the older version that do work on the new version, things like that. All right. 77. What is the lifespan of the Ledger Nano X in terms of battery life? I don't know that right off the top of my head in terms of cycles or anything like that. We do have a what is the word? We do have a warranty for the devices as well, to make sure that you're always if it does fail ahead of time, it's something that we can replace for you. And also, the battery life isn't something that's necessary as operating a device, which is something that I thought was quite cool. So even if the battery is failing, it's something that you can continue to use via cable as well. Although it is, I admit, quite annoying to click through the battery errors. So yeah, always I can try to answer that in more in particular, but I don't know that I have that right off the top of my head. Battery life, but maximize for sure. 100 milliamp hours. Yep, designed to last 5 years. Oh, there you go. I'm just not smart enough to remember everything. But hopefully, yeah, 5 years is there. I've had mine for nearly that time as well, and I've not had any issues in particular. But I don't normally like leave it plugged in or anything like that, which is something that can affect the life, as you can see here. Alacoco, when will I think I missed something. When will LegistX be delivered? Again, keep an ear out. We're trying to make sure we have the best product for you. Already answered that before, but yeah, don't have an answer for that at the moment. Chetan, what if we break the device? How easy is it to recover crypto assets? you wouldn't be able to retrieve the crypto assets because it'd be broken, but you'd have its recovery phrase. So then you would just need to input that to any compatible wallet. Then you can manage any assets managed by those that recovery phrase. Are all the Ledger Nano S's waterproof? They are not, Chetan, so please be careful. Alacoco, will Ledger support CL cards in Palestine? Please, we need it. We need CL cards in the Middle East. It's definitely something I'll pass on. I totally understand. I would love for that to be the case. But yeah, I'll make sure to pass on that feedback as well. 100%. Ryan H. Currently using Nano X with my iPhone via the Ledger Ledger Nano X, the Ledger Live app. Sorry, setting ETH requires an update. When setting up Ledger Live on Ledger Live with my Mac laptop, will it require me to input your recovery phrase? It will not. It will never require you to enter your recovery phrase into any place that is not your device. Hope that's clear. Just never put it anywhere. Just keep it on the card, and you'll be okay. Right? Chronic Override. Pretty upset with what's been happening with the stack shipping. I totally understand. I'm not gonna. I can't argue with you about that. Originally, it was supposed to ship in March, then by end of Q2. Now, sometime this summer. What is going on? When are these going to ship? Again, answered those already. Don't have an answer. We're trying to make sure we have the best thing out there. But I totally understand the upset, being upset. I would be as a consumer, and I am as a consumer as well. If I had something for you guys, we'd be out there for you. I'd be shouting it out from the rooftops. Andrew, you had a question. When you use the passphrase, how would you restore that account on a new ledger? So first thing, you'd want to make sure you restore the first 24 words as well. So you want to make sure you have the same recovery phrase that you had set up on the device. That would be the first thing that you'd need to do. And then the next thing is you'd go through and set it up as you did initially, which would be to go into the, there we go, go into the options and either attach to PIN, if you wanted to set it up as like a plausible deniability account, or you can set it as a temporary passphrase. From there, go through the process of entering the passphrase, and then once you've done that, you'll be able to access those accounts from there. Jung 1986. What about Kusama? It seems like Kusama is locked. I can't stake or unstake no more through Ledger app with the Ledger Nano X. The first things I'd be thinking about would be your what do you got here? I copied the wrong thing. Okay, Kusama. First thing would be about the Kusama application version. It's a pretty common thing. If the application version isn't up to date, it might affect your ability. The main things I'd be thinking about is if you're getting any particular error messages, like wrong transaction version or something along those lines. That are definitely potentially narrow down what we might need to do to troubleshoot the issue. Other than that, I might need more information. Again, getting a hold of us through support.ledger.com. Right behind me, there'll be a purple contact us button, and we can try to troubleshoot that with you in particular. But there shouldn't be any issues in general right off the top of my head, unless there might be an outage. But I wouldn't expect that to be the case at this stage. I don't have any like huge amount of DMs through work or anything at the moment about that. Hi guys, I saw you guys had another update, wondering if the newest update does include the new features from the last update that had a lot of controversy. Ledger Live is not the same as your Ledger device firmware. So 2.62.2 is an update for Ledger Live. The Ledger device firmware is what, as we've seen, a bunch of the commenters have a potential problem with. And they are different things. So installing Ledger Live is not the same as updating your firmware. So installing Ledger Live will be perfectly, totally different to that. Why 1504 mentions, how do I determine my staking rewards at the end of the year for tax purposes? You might have to ask an accountant for that one. Something out of my range, and something I refer to a tax to a what's the word, to a something I refer to an accountant for myself. Unfortunately, I do not speak French, but I can kind of get that, baby, so I'll make sure to, as you said, add it to the notes as well. Axelo, you have 5 unopened HW1s from years ago. I wonder why did you suddenly stop producing them? Before my time, generally speaking, we would want to, I can only speculate, but I can imagine newer products would have newer features and better technology. That would be my best guess. Flow tilt. I hope if you guys can, maybe mention it in English, I can try and answer that for you. Oh, okay, here we go. Flow tilt. I want to buy crypto, but it's not possible on my legendary eggs because navigate to Conway down. Thanks. Yeah, baby. Definitely. I hope you guys don't riot more than Parisians already are at the moment. But yeah, I'll definitely add it to the list. That's something. The colors are fun. We like colors, so totally understand. But yeah, flow tilt. If you can maybe either ask that in. Oh yeah, we got my colleague in chat. I totally forgot, and they will be able to answer. Try to answer your questions there. Otoniel Figuero. When will you guys include selling crypto for cash for other assets other than just Bitcoin for like Ethereum? It is definitely something that I feel is lacking for me personally. I don't sell Bitcoin a lot. I actually sell or interact with Ethereum a lot more. So I definitely feel this myself. In terms of when, I wouldn't have a specific answer, but there should be other services actually that you might be able to check out that might be able to help you in terms of selling of assets. If I remember correctly, there was one on here. I think it was either Paybiz, for example. My Ledger Live is definitely freaking out, so I got to make sure to tell the devs about that one. But now we got, but definitely look through all the Discover section. So it might not always just be in Ledger in the buy and sell, but in Discover there might be an option for you in particular. uHodler is an interesting one, for example, where you can actually deposit your assets for a loan that you can get. You see up to 90% LTV, and then you can get it into a SAPR account, for example. So it could be something to consider too if you want to maintain exposure to crypto assets as well. All right, let's go. Mathieu definitely answered the question about where about the stacks in particular, but definitely keep an ear out. We're just trying to make sure it's like a good product, like a really good product, the best product, in fact, to get out to you guys. I'll definitely be telling everyone. I'm tweeting from my personal account and everything when I find out. Bit silly, but I just noticed that I had a 1x Purple Nano X in my cart. I don't think that would work in particular if you did go through. I wonder if I'll have any ability to double check or anything like that, but yeah. And we may as well do that now. But again, guys, already passed nearly 3/4 of the way through. If you guys have any questions, please try to pop them into chat. Try to get to answering those as best I can. I think I'll always mention as well, please don't give out your 24 words. We'll never ask for it. If someone's like posing as support, I think this is the big thing. No one in support is ever going to be like, hey, I need your 24 words. Hey, we need you to, KYC, or we're going to block your device. That just won't happen, right? So definitely something I'll advise if you guys don't give out your 24 words. Don't give out, don't sign any transactions that you don't trust either. Don't confirm anything on the device. This is why clear signing is so important too. Why we're so passionate about it within the Ledger Live ecosystem. Because if you do, do that, then they're gonna, if you do give out your recovery phrase, they're gonna be able to manage your assets as if they were you, and it's pretty much game over from there. Yes, yeah. Where are you, baby? Yeah, I think this won't work for sure. Orange isn't my color too personally, but for those orange build folks, it might be something you guys would want to scoop up. Martine, you mentioned, can you add the option, add an option that the total balance goes up and down live, because a live total balance updates very slow and it's not live. Yeah, I get that. It definitely is something that I'll pass on, although I would imagine that the amount of calls that would be done would be quite a lot. But yeah, definitely pass on that feedback. It definitely would be cool. I'd love to do that personally. I actually use dbank to cover my look over all of my assets in particular. Chronic override. I've emailed support numerous times, and you guys all have the same generic responses that you're trying to put out the best product. But it has me wondering what happened that caused the plan to go so far off track and not receive any kind of updates as to where is the delay. Was there a manufacturing issue, a device security flaw found, or just bad planning? All of this combined with the recent controversy has definitely shaken your confidence in Ledger and has me second guessing whether Ledger is a safe haven. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna be like telling you what you're feeling is wrong, right? I'm here trying to answer your questions. I mean, in terms of the stacks, don't have much, but all I can do is say that honestly, I get it. Great. I mean, if you, I'd love to actually converse with you about it. It's something that, yeah, I wish you. I totally understand having the second guessing and things like that. I think I'm biased, but I definitely think it's still safe. Yeah, I mean, it's up to you to check. You can check. The white paper for recover as well. For now, and yeah, really, I wish I could discuss with you all of the questions you're having, but yeah. But once you have information for you, I'll definitely be the one to shout out from the rooftops. Now, I know we have a French conversation going on in chat, but guys, again, if you have any questions, please, happy to try and do the best I can to answer the questions. Oguzan, I can't answer that question. I can't share your recovery phrase or your recovery key because Ledger doesn't have them, right? And if you go through the what Shamir secret sharing is or what that is, you might go through and see that we wouldn't be able to give anyone a recovery key or anything like that. Hopefully that answers your question, but I can't, predict the future as well, Oguzan. Wish I could pronounce that name as well. But yes, thank you again, baby, for the questions. Guys, please keep popping those questions in the chat. I love answering them. I love actually going through them and trying to get you guys all set up. I think I mentioned before, one of the things I'm working on going through and discussing with the guys internally is about one of my favorite subjects. I actually mentioned it way back when I first started, was EIP 4044. Definitely something really cool that's coming up for Ethereum. I'm a bit of an Ethereum stan myself, not a maxi, but a bit of a dweeb for it. You can call me an Ethereum otaku. With regards to that, it's definitely something that I hope for the scaling of Ethereum is going to, make transactions cheaper, because mainnet is a total mess in terms of the transaction fees. I totally get it. Uguzan, I can't really answer an emoji, but if you have a question, I'd be happy to answer. Chronic, I'd recommend the company put out a statement recommending the specific reasoning for the delay. I know I'm not alone in thinking this. I agree with that. It's something that I would be happy to pass on the feedback for. Transparency is the cornerstone of trust. Again, totally agreed with that, Chronic. I don't. Perfect, no notes. I don't have anything to say to that, and it's something I'll pass on as well. Again, yeah, no notes. But yeah, Uguzan, I'm here to answer the question. So if you have anything that you wanted to go through, we try to answer it. But yeah, again, I can't predict the future in terms of like what will happen then, and also like I'm not the U.S. government. I'm not, an entity like that. While we have that French conversation going on in chat, it is the last 10 minutes of the live stream. Again, if you guys have anything else you wanted to go through, please pop them in chat. We'll try to get them answered. Or if you have like ticket numbers that you guys, maybe you're not getting a response for or something like that, I'll be happy to like pull that out and like try to answer them if you're not getting a response, that kind of thing as well. It's yeah, definitely something I'd love to help you guys with. Oguzan, got your answer actually. Okay, perfect. Love that. Previous question regarding the recent FUD. It's nice to hear I'm safe hodling coins in Ledger. I think the main thing, I think I said this just after everything came out as well. Ledger Recover isn't something like for me personally. I'm a bit of a brokey. I don't have I'm probably not going to do the pay the subscription fee for it in particular. So that's my specific thing, because I'm a bit of a brokey. But I think what I find is going to be really cool that I'm really excited to do is going to be like how we set it up for ourselves, like when you set it up for yourselves, right? Like like setting up my own like Trumia secret sharing setup is going to be like super like a cool thing that I'm going to do on my own in particular. Got more questions though. 77, what does Ledger Live use to track coin prices? I know it's been mentioned before, I just want to make sure. Should be okay to say. CoinGecko is what we'd use. Wondering if we could purchase the ledgers through crypto. Also nice trolling, Felix. I'm wondering if we could purchase ledgers through crypto. If I remember correctly, there is an option. I've got one in the stash now, and not stash, bag. There we go. I'll just double check. There is an option, if I remember correctly, for a particular payment option. Love Africa. Hello, do you have our 24 words stored in your system? We do not, indeed. Oops, there we go. Ledger.com. How does Ledger plan to handle potential governmental bans or regulations on hardware wallets like the one we've seen in some jurisdictions? That is definitely not something I can answer, Chronic. It's definitely something I'm keeping an eye on personally. Like if I had, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not the CEO, right? But maybe you could, thinking what the best way to get that question answered would be, and to be honest, I'm not sure if it's something that they could answer in particular, because like we'd be reacting in the same way. Like when we learn of governmental regulations, we learn at the same time you guys do, right? But I think maybe this Chronic, maybe this question, it might be something that you ask on a in email. I'd love to like pick it up. I'll pop it and I'll ask like some of the guys internally if it's something that I can give you like a really specific answer for. Maybe that way we can get you the specific answer you're looking for. 77. I think a ban he's talking about would be something about self-hosted wallets, and then also you've got countries that have banned cryptocurrencies in general, in particular. Let me get this done first before I forget about the payment system for that one. I am at Champs-Élysées, Paris. I'm actually not, just so you guys know. Okay, but I'll finish up going from here. Please continue to pop those questions in the chat if you have any for me, and we'll try to get those answered as best we can. Let's see if I can remember that option for the crypto payments, because it's not directly through like sending it to us. Crypto.com pay is personally what I'd use. To the general support, I don't have a specific email address. What I'd suggest in this case, just mention that you want to speak to me. My name's Felix, and then the agent will then assign it to me in particular for you, and then I'll have a chat and see if I can get you a really specific answer there for that one. Martin, what do I think of the BlackRock ETF? I think it's interesting. I think we had this narrative from last cycle, right? And having worked in TradFi before, these entities, they work really slowly. They work really slowly. And so it could just be the thing, like they're waiting, that they're going about and they're doing this process like slowly and trying to get everything done. I'm hopeful, and I'm hopeful, honestly, I'm hopeful that it'll be like the next step will be other ETFs and things like that. I guess we'll see. The 500 plus to 1 record is pretty good, but you know, it's not they're not the actual government as much as some people think they might own them or something like that, right? But I'm hopeful for it. I think it's gonna be good for the industry as a whole in general, but we'll see. It could be bad too. Baby, you don't see those that sounds so weird, but if you don't see those options, baby, it would be the only ones that would be supported for your particular region. Unfortunately, it might be that you have to use those ones, but there are other options that if you wanted to pay, it just might have some extra steps. But yeah, totally hate that that's not the case for you in particular. Chronic as well, by the way, if you do get a ticket number instantly, you can always just pop it in chat and then I can pick it up directly as well. Otherwise, yeah. If the ETF gets accepted, what is your price prediction for Bitcoin? If you guys didn't know, like, I actually loved trading. I wouldn't recommend it, just by the way, no financial advice here, but I would say that my prediction would be very, very high. That's what I would say. Just about finishing up now. We've got the last 3 minutes, but Axelo XYZ, EU law, they have a motion. Which one? That is exactly right. We should be able to do that for you, depending on. I know you guys have been having the conversation, but yeah, we'll have a try to do that for you. Yeah, that's restricted. Okay, so that should be about it. I know, guys, Flo and Axelo, you guys are having the in the chat. Hopefully, if you guys can, not telling you to finish up, but like we'll hopefully get your questions answered as well. And 7-7, I am definitely looking forward to the bull market going ahead. Maybe we'll be on a beach somewhere, all of us. So, all right. That should just wrap it up for me today. We do have live streams, you know, for the rest of the week. Wednesday, we'll have something on Twitter. I'll be back actually on Thursday, and there should be stuff on Friday as well. Yeah, if you guys always have any questions, you can pop through to support.ledger.com, and we'll try to get your questions answered there. Otherwise, yeah, like I said, we've got the live streams, and please don't give out your 24 words, and don't sign any transactions you don't trust. Stay safe in the markets out there, guys. Good luck. Peace.